What happens when you take a hip hop producer, a rock producer, and a production guy, mix them all together, and you make some music for some awesome TV? You get some signature tracks. Is that right?
Correct.
Yes. That's what we're learning about today on the Fly Filmmaking.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
I like the coolest guys today. The coolest guys. The clique from Signature Tracks. Thank you for joining me today. The most guests that we've had on this show, so it's very exciting to have a full table of guests.
We're excited to be here.
And I didn't get the memo that we were wearing all black today. I'm sorry.
I think blue looks better.
Yeah?
Yeah, blue's
all right.
better.
Well, next time you guys come on.
He has blue too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
All
Charlie's
black
wearing
on black
blue.
cars,
Awesome.
too.
And
Nice.
a Bluetooth.
Nice. Awesome. So Signature Tracks is a company that does music for television and commercials and films and things like that. So everybody, let's introduce yourselves, starting with Adam.
Adam Malka, co-founder.
Co-founder.
David Lasman, co-founder.
Also co-founder.
Russell Howard, co-founder.
All the founder. And I'm Mary Lou Mandel, your host today for On the Fly Filmmaking. And we are going to learn how these guys fit into the bigger picture of production. So real quick, tell me what it is that Signature Tracks is. What's your quick pitch for Signature Tracks?
Signature Tracks is a music licensing company that provides music for television, commercials, digital content, and basically any kind of content that needs music. We have corporate deals. So that's basically what we do.
Gotcha. And so in production, whenever you are making your projects, music will always add a little bit of something. It might drive an emotion. It will drive a feeling. It'll definitely round out everything, because if you just have a silent, or you just have like talking and there's no music behind it, you might not have a full scene. So getting music from someone that's professional or trying to make it yourself really adds something. So how is it that you guys fit into the bigger picture of production? So when you guys are brought in, are usually projects already finished, or you make music and then they buy the music from you as is?
I think it's been a mixture of both.
Okay.
I think we focus really on bringing a very popular current sound to whatever project we work on. I think that was really the core of our brand.
Yeah.
But I started as a producer. Adam was a producer as well, making music. I was making music since a kid. And Dave was in the editing bays and heard a lot of the music and was always like, man, this music is it's not good.
Yeah.
So I think the approach was, we're going to make the best music we can, and it just grew from there. So to answer your question, it depends. I mean, we're always making music.
Right.
So it could be a production company saying, we have this show, we need this kind of music. Can you help us tailor this sound? And then we kind of customly create music for that show. Or we just have music already prepared to go in.
Yeah. So it could go both ways.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you have a library that people can purchase from,
Yes.
or you can get custom work done.
Correct.
Which
Yes.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So right now we provide music for about 150 different series.
Yes, your roster is amazing. Let's hear a
Thank
few.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's like reality stuff.
yes.
There's also some commercials. So what
Yes.
are some of your top ones?
Some of our top shows are Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Orange County. We're working on Siesta Keys this season, creating vocal tracks for them. What are some of the shows that?
Yeah, we're doing Kevin Hart's streaming YouTube service called the Laugh Out Loud. So it's a deal with Kevin Hart and Lionsgate. We're doing what you said, Siesta Key.
We got The Price is Right.
Yeah.
We're doing Dish Nation, which is a show that runs every day, 5 days a week, all year. We're doing
And Top 30, a new daily show
a
on
new
Fox
daily
as well.
show.
Right
we got The
on.
Wags, and we got
Wags LA, Wags Miami.
Yeah, Life of Kylie. Vanderpump Rules, which is on its 6th season for Bravo.
Yeah.
Below Deck, all the different Below Deck series that
Below
are going.
Deck, Med.
Yeah.
We're doing this Southern Charm series, so Southern Charm Savannah, Southern Charm New Orleans is a new project we're working on. That's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're bringing in live bands from NOLA,
Okay.
and that's been a great project.
And Sister Wives, it's on TLC. Homestead Rescue on Discovery. So we kind of spread it all out.
It's so many, honestly.
Yeah, it's so
such a
many. So do you?
blend.
We plugged in your computer, Adam,
Yes.
to play some music.
Yes.
Can you play us a few samples of maybe something people might recognize?
Let's see if I can find some heat.
Get something
Here.
good. So while we're doing
see.
that, I want to talk a little bit about your histories before creating Signature Tracks. So David, you are a production guy. So you're like the kind of guy who would be our audience for this show. Like you did film school?
I didn't do film school, but I started at the lowest level. I was a production assistant.
Okay.
And I worked my way up. I was actually a camera assistant, and then I was a story assistant, and then a story producer, and worked my way up to supervising producer and co-executive producer.
Yeah.
And ran a bunch of shows as a co-executive producer. And along the way of that, I was a story producer sitting in the editing base putting together the stories, and I hated the music that we had to use because there was a lot of kind of cheesy library music, and obviously, as any producer knows, music is really important to bring to a production. So I knew Russell had produced
Just like
music
now, we
with,
have like a cool soundtrack to your story.
Right.
I'm gonna
Exactly.
score. I'm gonna score all.
He'll secretly score it. Yeah. He'll make it better though. Yeah.
Yes.
Russell had worked with JayZ, who's Babyface's in-house producer at the time, and he worked with all types of people: Seal, Lupe Fiasco, Paul Wall, DMX, and Adam produced music for this band Trapt, and also worked with Russell on the Seal record. So we.
This would be.
This is a little uplifting. This is too uplifting for this
dialogue
Gotcha.
tasking while he's talking. Do you see?
See, that's what we're doing right now. Is on-the-fly filmmaking right now. Is that we're scoring the interview.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So anyway, then we started the company. Just try to bring a more current sound to television.
Okay, good. And then I like that your mixture of that because like Adam, you were working with the rock band Trapt, right?
Yes.
And then you were working with a bunch of hip hop artists, and JayZ was one of the major ones that I saw on your list. So that mixing all of that along with your production know-how makes this really modern sound that we hear in so much reality TV.
We are known for creating cutting-edge sounds. So, it's pretty exciting that we have worked on a lot of Bravo series. Russell has kind of created the sound of hip-hop comedy. It's like hip-hop music infused with comedy in a way that is not kind of cheesy sounding, I would say.
There's a clip from Jersey Shore that I really liked that was on your website that I wanted to play that I kind of, when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, that kind of tells me what you guys do.
Hold on a second. I think we may have retired this cue.
That's a cue I was going to play too.
This is like last summer all over again.
Oh my gosh.
I would love
This is an
It's
old
like
cue.
Guido.
Yeah.
Juice head.
This may
my
actually be a
personality.
tad cheesy, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
This is
But it's
called-
early on.
This was a
Cheater.
cue called
Early.
Sleep
Find out
Prank.
somewhere,
And
'cause I'm not gonna go on
it's
Match.com.
amazing how many times this cue landed and got placed. It's
Yeah.
like- yeah.
Because I feel like I've definitely heard this one. Okay, so then there's another clip that was a countdown to UFC, which was a totally different tone
Yes.
that I really liked as well. And this one is more of a promo versus like a cue
Right.
in a
Yeah.
show.
Yes.
I like your logo, by the way.
That's
Like that. The
banging.
intro is
Thank you.
great.
I'm still feeling it. Nice driving energy.
Yeah, it adds a lot because with these clips, you could have gone all sorts of directions.
Correct.
But this
Yes.
is just like upbeat. Yeah, we want to watch this fight. We want to participate in this because that's a promo to come. Like,
Right.
Yes.
Go
And-
watch the fight.
And not distracting at the same time.
Right.
Which is, I think, important to talk about. I know from coming from like producing for artists and stuff, so much of the music is focused on, but in terms of TV and film, it's really about the film or the TV show first and the dialogue and what's going on in the show first. So the music has to do its job, but still kind of play a back seat.
Right.
So it has to. So that's something I think it's important for composers to know and out there. I had to adapt to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So your tip to the filmmakers that are out there is pick something that doesn't compete with your dialogue.
Absolutely.
You want to
Yeah.
create a
100%.
feeling, but don't compete with the
Right.
with the show. Okay, and then the last clip that I really was into was this Ruby Tuesdays commercial.
Well, hello.
That's sexy.
It's so
That's
sexy. And then look at the description of it was like a sexy spot for a burger.
Buttery pretzel buns.
This key
It's
gets-
hard
this
to
gets
say
used a
no
lot.
to
Yeah.
this little
Yeah.
hottie. With spicy pepper jack cheese, crispy.
Yeah, it's really great because like there's comedy in this, but like it doesn't necessarily have to be like it's cheesy, but it's fun. So where else has this been used?
Oh man.
Lots
All
of
sorts
different
of
like
places?
sexy kind of scenes, like on Below Deck,
sexy
I
shows.
think.
Okay.
Anytime there's kind of like a romantic comedic romantic.
Comedic
Gotcha.
romantic, yeah.
Yeah, so whether you guys know it, you have heard signature tracks all across your entertainment.
Correct.
And that's really, like, really, really amazing. So I love that. And then you don't only produce the music for shows like this, which, you know, for the most part, you know, do you guys get the music, like, you get the video, like, so all of these people, so all the ones you show, you're like, these are cues that are used a lot. So that's just in your library that people can go purchase.
Yes.
So any of those were made original for this or not?
I don't think that was
I think that was a license.
That was a
Okay.
license,
Yeah, we selected that though.
Okay.
So a lot of times we do the music supervision. We're responsible for picking out the sounds and curating the sounds of various shows and projects.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that's like a whole other production position there. It's
Yes.
like not just the composer, but the music supervisor.
Yes. Yeah.
Who's the person that can like choose those things. So that's
Yes.
also a service that you guys provide.
We may have
Yes.
been thinking of a cheeseburger while making that track, though.
Why not?
Thinking about Ruby's while making. I'm kidding.
No, they didn't bring that to you while like once they ordered it.
No.
No. Awesome. Okay, cool. So you guys
Yeah.
friends when you started, for like since childhood, and you all were doing different things. So what brought you to the point where you're like, let's make signature tracks? You were hearing bad stuff out there, and you just wanted to change the game.
Dave?
Yeah,
Dave was
I
the-
think
yeah.
you know, I hated the music that we had to use, and knew Russell and Adam were really talented. Adam as well, you know, musically, I know he had a business degree and was very ambitious. And Russell's like, you know, been making hip hop music before white kids like rap, you know, and
Don't they?
forever. And I knew, you know, that he was incredibly talented, and then we could do something really cool. And basically kind of build out a company to bring a more current sound.
Right, since 2008.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
Exactly.
guys have been going almost 10 years
That's
with
incredible.
signature tracks. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And Russell just won the 2017 ASCAP Award for most performed themes and underscores, which is like
Right.
basically the most placements
which was
on
The
TV.
Bachelor, right?
Well, it
No,
helped,
it's like
but
the-
it's basically it was 10 of us honored, right? So the top 10 composers, literally the most placed composers in the game, you know.
Okay.
So when he says placed, like the amount of your cues being used all throughout TV and commercials or whatever.
Okay.
All
So-
shows.
All shows.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was cool. I shared. It was for all of us, though. You know, they just honored the writer, but it wouldn't have been possible without. You know, I just want to make that clear.
It was a big honor. I mean,
a
with
big
Russell,
honor.
we kind of have like Kobe on our team. I mean, we've got
Right.
an incredibly talented producer, and he mentors and oversees our 30 exclusive composers. So it's just a great honor.
Right. So then you guys
know.
like so there's the three of you, but then you also have composers that work
yeah.
with you then. So
Yes.
you have
Yeah.
over 30.
Yes.
So how much of the stuff that you guys are putting out do you guys actually compose, like of you two?
That's a great
Do
question.
you ever
A
make
lot.
any-
A lot.
A lot. It's
I'd
pretty
say I'm
demanding
still
for
like
us.
Yeah.
70 plus 80% of the library is me, I would say, and a lot of Adam too. Adam and I have been making music together for years since we were kids.
Yeah.
But we have a solid team of like you know, a good 10 to 12 consistent guys that
Yeah.
are, you know, knocking them out every day.
Okay.
One of our guys just won his second Grammy. He goes by Dirty Rice. His name's Kenneth Mackey. He's incredible. Another guy, Mark Cragen, he's written like 4 hit songs on the radio,
Yeah.
and he wasn't very happy in that lane, in that industry, and he's been on with us full time. So
Okay.
he's finding a lot of success in TV.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. And that's another thing that has become a recurring theme on this show is that wherever you started might not be where you end up or where you're really happy.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
still find something in production in the thing that you do.
Yes,
So in
great.
music production, like you
Smart.
don't have to be in like pop music and hip hop and rock. You know, you can find it in film, or in film you don't have to be the person that holds a camera. You could be making music in film and TV production.
I'm really
That-
glad you
that's a
said
great
that.
point, yeah.
Not to cut you guys
Yeah.
off, but I want to talk about that real quick
Yeah.
because for the filmmakers or people out there aspiring or that are watching this, I know that I was resistant to even get started with this. Dave was trying to kind of get my attention with this. I'm naturally resistant by nature, you know, something I'm working on, but Dave was definitely trying to get, you know, hey, let's do this. There's money here. There's something here. We have a lot of contacts. And I just, I don't want to do this. Because I was tunnel visioned on just producing for artists. And now looking back, I'm so grateful that I had that open mind to make that transition. So what I do want is just to add on to what you're saying, because I know there's people out there like, how do I get involved? I can't, for me, this is my own experience, I can't stress that enough to stay diverse and keep that mind state open. Like, hey, I may not end up where I think my head is telling me where I need to be, But you may end up, I ended up somewhere else than I thought, but I'm very grateful there. But I just kept pushing forward with an open mind. And I
Right.
think it's so important because I know a lot of producers that are really, really, really talented, but are so struck and stuck on, oh, I have to do this. And then the doors keep closing and their closed mind keeps them out. Thank you for
I'm going uplifting here.
So uplifting, it's so good.
yeah, seen it. All right, no,
That's
dope.
great. That's great. So that, and I think that's really good advice for people to keep in mind. You know, all of our filmmakers, all of any kind of production thing that you do, you still stay in your lane. Like you knew it was music, you know. So, but you kept with music, but it ended up somewhere completely different than what you anticipated in the beginning.
It's amazing how it turned out, and it's been so rewarding where we're using everything we're passionate about, and just, I mean, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
So much fun. We
You
work
can do both simultaneously.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yes,
look at
true.
like Trent Reznor or even Hans Zimmer now is going out and doing shows. You
Yeah.
know, where he started off in production. So it goes both ways, and you can really do all the above.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's talk a little bit about for somebody who wants to just get started, like they know they want to start in composing music for television and film. How do they get started? What advice do you have for them? Because there is definitely there's no right way to do this.
I think, and most importantly, learning how to produce and self-contained, and learning how to produce everything within your own environment, and being very self-sufficient, I think, and someone who also really can dig and learn like all the new technologies and everything, and sounds, and just, I mean, that's constantly changing.
Yeah, what are some like base level programs and tech that somebody could look into if they're just getting started?
I think immediately I would suggest getting Ableton Live. I would definitely get Pro Tools, which is like industry standard in terms for mixing. But to actually produce and make the tracks, like sequence the tracks and stuff, I would use Ableton or Logic. I prefer Ableton. If you're like a orchestral guy and stuff, maybe Digital Performer. But I would say Ableton, and then get Pro Tools, and then get some Waves plugins. And
Which
get
is all stuff you can get on your computer.
you
Those
can
are
get
all-
you can do all this with
Yeah.
a laptop now, literally. Like you're probably making beats as we're speaking right now.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what I'm doing.
It's
at
hot.
the same
another
time.
point too would be to collaborate with producers that you appreciate, and just kind of build your own network. That's kind of like when we started, we had already formed, like we had a group of like 5 guys that we were kind of within our crew, or like our writing team, like a writing camp,
Yeah.
when we were writing for artists. And that's what we did, pull together a lot of our music when we started a company. We formed a library of like, you know, it was like a couple hundred tracks that were collecting dust at the time.
Yeah.
You know, so like everything can be used within that, like as you're learning and creating, everything can be used.
Yeah.
I think it may find a home within composing for TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really great. So you just keep making, keep creating.
Yes.
And that's like another, like there's 2 things that you had mentioned there that are stuff that's come up with all of the positions in production that we've interviewed on this show is keep creating, and also create a network. You know, like find somebody that you can volunteer for, you can like that can mentor you, that you can learn something from.
Absolutely.
We've had a lot of every day we have people reach out to us. They watch the shows and they see our names in the credits, and they reach out and they want to be a composer, you know. And we have had interns that started off interning for us and creating music. And even our head admin started off as an intern. Now he's making over 6 figures. So, so I think like just being willing to put in the time, knowing it's going to take a while. Royalties every time. If you create a track, it's not going to place for like 3 months, and then that's not going to pay for about 9 or 10 months, 9 or 12 months. So you're going to need to be committed for a long time before you start seeing money.
Before the pipeline is started. But
Right.
once it starts, it can definitely exponentially grow. You know. So I just want to add on to that too, is to what Adam and David were saying. If you're a new composer out there, I would say just like Adam was saying, be willing to work with people and just have the right attitude.
Be easy to work with.
Easy
Yes.
to work
And
with.
be likable.
And
Easy
be
to work with and
likable.
likable.
And just just be like, yes, I'm willing to do that. Willingness and humility is so important. There's so many talented producers out there right now, but with the wrong attitude, I don't want to. This music's amazing. I don't want to work with them if they have this this attitude. We get people from Berklee School of Music, and I'm a fan of Berklee School of Music. My brother's a professor there, but if they come in like, oh, I'm Mr. Tip Top Composer, I'm like, listen, I don't want to be around you. You know what I mean? I want to be around someone that I want to be around, and the talent can be taught. You know, 2 Chainz just said, hard work beats talent.
Yeah.
You know, 2 Chainz.
Great.
Yes.
And we're blessed to have Dave, because Dave's like one of the hardest working. I mean, he's up at like 4:30 in the morning working out and then working 24/7. He's the overall visionary of the company. He came up with the idea. He saw the vision, and he taught us that because he worked in production. So it's just like he's the most likable guy. So he'd work on a project, and then he would go over to another project. Everyone liked him, and we would get jobs that way. So it's like being likable, and just people want to work with people they're friends with and they like.
Yes.
I think that's like a huge, huge point.
So true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mic drop.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and that's something that I find all the time, you know, where people are like, where do you get all your gigs? I was like, I don't know, like I'm friendly when I do work on things, no matter what my role is. I try to do the best that I can and be like, sure, fine, I'll learn something here, I'll do it, let's go.
Yeah.
And then same with people who I end up hiring is that, you know, I'm like, oh, like this person may not be the strongest of this role, but they're very good to work with.
Yes.
So they can learn, I can work with them, let's make this happen.
Definitely. I
Absolutely.
have one other thing too to add to that. I think also because my mom championed me to kind of pursue what I was passionate about doing. I think pursue what you're passionate about doing, but also find a way to pay your bills.
Yes.
Because if you're dependent on that one break, it's going to be too much stress.
True.
You know, like I know people have come out here and they want to break into acting, and they want to break into music, and if they're just relying on that just like that door to open, and they're not finding a way to pay their bills, it's not good.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. Which is how I
Yeah.
ended up in production. It's like keeping my mind open.
Yes.
But I came out here to be a performer. You know,
Yes.
I was like, I'm an actress. Let's go. Let's do this. And I
Yeah.
just couldn't. I couldn't break in. So then I was like, well, I want to learn more about being on set. So I was
Yes.
an extra for a really long time. And while I was there, I was like, what does this thing do? What does that thing do?
Yeah,
And I was
nice.
like, I really like this. Kept my mind open. Ended up in this other lane. That's paying my bills, and then I still get to like sit on camera with you guys.
Exactly.
Very cool.
That
Very
is
cool.
Very
exactly.
smart. Wow.
Yeah, and then that's
Yeah.
like really good advice. Moms
Absolutely.
always know.
Yeah.
They do.
They do.
They do.
They
Yeah.
always
Let's
know.
Let's get my mom on the phone real quick.
Yeah, call her up. Call her up. We can get her on Skype. Awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about some on-the-fly things. So when you guys have your songs that are in the library, they're already made. So you're not having to do anything on the fly with that. You might have come up with it on
Yeah.
the fly, but it's not like you're not
Yes.
under the gun.
Right.
But I know you recently did something for Clusterfest
Yes.
that was live.
Yes.
So
That was fun.
yeah. Tell me how that went.
Okay, so that was a Comedy Central special, Clusterfest, and it was incredible. It was just a lot of incredible comedians and music. It was a 2-day festival, actually 3 days in San Francisco. And so they brought me in to music supervise. I've supervised over 50 different series. We just did a film with Mario Van Peebles, awesome project. They brought us in to actually compose and score the theme, which Russ did. I can play that for you guys. It's an awesome track.
Yeah.
They were really happy. We have a partnership with Viacom. So with Viacom, we've probably done like 10 theme songs in the past quarter for them. So it was just fun being over there. I did everything from spotting, just picking out tracks on the fly for a broadcast that was going out within like a few hours. So, you know, a lot of my skills are in the edit bay. You know, Dave actually got us, you know, from his background, he brought us in the edit bay a lot. So we just have an experience just working with edit. And it's, so I just did a lot of stuff on the fly. I mean, they even had me watch like different bands and make sure everything was clear, that they weren't doing like mashup records that weren't licensed. So it was just a variety of different things. But being on the fly, I was working with a really tight, incredible team. And that was just a lot of fun. Like when you're working with people that are just like top of their game, these people
Yes.
do all the big just live events, award shows, the Emmys. Yeah, it was really fun.
Adam's really good at, so like they'll put production companies will put him on the spot, literally, like we need a track for this scene right now, and he has to on the spot go through, know the library in and out, I mean we're talking 27,000 cues, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and be able to pick out one and deliver it, you know, and it's pretty impressive. So we could do that right now if you want to put him on the spot.
Which is you're doing the whole
call
time.
him the
But it's too
human
loud. You
Pandora.
gotta turn it down.
We call him the human Pandora.
It's okay. You can score my show. That's
This
totally
is-
fine.
Wait,
but
this
don't.
is the Clusterfest theme. I think it'd be cool for Russ to talk about his creative, because
Yeah.
this was a cool process, like working on this theme.
Great.
Russ and I kind
So
of.
this you did ahead of time.
No. Well, no, they came to us. They
Okay.
they
Yeah.
needed a theme. And
Okay.
they said
Yes.
it's for this. And then usually what they'll say is, hey, we need a theme song in the vibe of this. And
Okay.
sometimes if we're lucky, they'll send actual like tracks out there that are known tracks.
They'll send references,
Like,
yeah.
oh, we need a Calvin, something like Calvin or Harris or something like that. I actually prefer that because then I can kind of like get inside their heads. A lot of this is translating. what the producers want, and translating their vision,
Or
and
us.
bringing that to life.
Or us kind of demonstrating and then relying on us to kind of give them a
Come
creative
up with
direction.
Correct.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they wanted a very kind of like a driving trap festival, because it was a festival, right? So youth and all that. So then I don't know, I just start marinating on it. It's weird. It's this weird process where personally I like to just kind of step back from it. And I'm going to sound a little new agey, but it's true. And I like to just like not think about it,
Yeah.
right? For like a day or something.
But that's hard to
And-
do while we're hitting them up all the time.
That's
There's
hard.
pressure
But
and
what
deadlines.
happens, but it's the craziest thing.
And
I don't
we're
know
in
if
his
they know
corner.
this.
Yeah.
But what happens is, in that process, I swear, there's always something that comes along, and I go, that's it.
Yes.
Whether it's a song, whether it's like I'm at a club, whether it's something, whether it's an old, that's the, and then I get a lane, and I get like a tempo, and I can see it. I'm not trying to sound self-righteous. This is
No,
true.
it's
And I can
great.
see the track, and then it's about really just like finding. It also always starts with a sound, a core sound.
This was based off of. It was kind of
Yeah.
like a Diplo type
Yeah, like a Diplo,
inspiration.
Skrillex, kind of like Trapt festival. And once I started messing around with that lead sound, then I can then really it's about seeing the end of where the track's going to be, and not. Can I curse here?
Sure. We'll
Not
bleep it out.
not effing it up.
Yeah.
So I can see the end, and I just got to get there and not mess it up. And
Yeah.
that's really the creative process.
That's great. You
Yeah.
just
So
have to
Russ is-
take it home.
His town's like he's an incredible hip hop producer. Like his beats are just amazing. So we have that. We're excited and happy that we get to work with them.
Yeah, that's great. And you're diverse, because it's not only hip hop. Like you've done, there's all these different genres that you guys can hit.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because it sounds like you go and you deconstruct kind of what it is they're thinking,
Exactly.
and then go back and rebuild.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is great as like a really amazing creative process for anything. Like if you're doing photos or videos, also I do kind of the same thing. So I'll have like just a bucket of footage, and you're like, okay, but like what do they want? Because this footage can be all sorts of things, and then they say like, oh well, kind of like this, kind of like that. I do the same thing when I step back, forget about it for a second, then I
Yes.
go in and I'm like, the story's there.
Right.
The story's definitely there, and I go in and I'm like, yes. So there it is.
Exactly.
When people are like, how long does the edit take? I was like, the actual edit, not that long.
That's
but
right.
the process
Exactly.
takes some time.
That's crazy,
It's
yeah.
my art. Don't rush my art. But
True.
sometimes you have to.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
clients
Sometimes
say.
it's good when there's deadlines. It actually can help
Yes.
when there is a deadline.
True.
Right now we're working on a cool daily show, and it's a big theme. It's a major network, and we have a deadline coming up.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can help the process.
Because you're under the gun and you have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have found that
If
also.
there's too much time, it can give them a lot of time to just change directions, and then eventually
All
they
the
come back.
notes.
They come back to the initial. They'll come back to like the initial creative you came up with too. Sometimes that can happen.
Yeah.
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 Because you're like, I had it right the first time.
Agreed.
Yes.
But you have to demonstrate it though, and it can take
Yeah.
a little
Right.
while.
Okay, so then I would love to talk about sometimes how you might have to sell your vision. So say you
Yes.
had the one that you know is the right one,
Yeah.
but then when you're working with clients, the notes come up, then there's so many cooks in the kitchen, but that's not their specialty, that's
Yes.
not their lane. So are there times where you've had to sell the one that you wanted?
Yes, I think it definitely helps when if it's within our lane or a network where we've demonstrated we've been successful. So like on a lot of Bravo shows, we're able to direct the creative, vision and match, what they're looking for. But with that background, when it's a new project, sometimes they're like in a new lane. Yeah.
Definitely, there was a St. John commercial that we did, and they had like an old classical sound, but they wanted something elegant and more modern. And Adam, sold them on the vision of using like Kygo as a reference, and it would bring kind of like a more elegant but also very current sound. So we do that a lot, Adam especially.
And
Gotcha.
the thing is, though, whenever we're doing stuff that's a little cutting edge, we can't be like too ahead of the curve. There within TV, there's like this lapse time where they'll catch up. Like when dubstep hit, it took like a year before it started
Yeah.
hitting TV, and then it kind of got oversaturated. With tropical EDM, it was something we did try selling on certain networks, and at first they pulled back, and then they eventually went towards it, but. Sometimes kind of there's that balance, like Russ, you want to talk about that balance of like keeping current but not so over the top?
Yeah, and I don't know how to exactly articulate that. I'm just grateful that we are aware of it, But it's definitely finding that sweet spot of pushing the boundaries without scaring these network executives.
Right.
Like, what is this? But also kind of giving a little nudge, because that's our thing, right? We nudge it forward. So it's really just been finding that sweet spot, and I feel like we've been able to do that. You
Yeah,
know, and
that's
continue to
amazing
do
that happens also in music. Because like as a digital content producer, so I'm working with brands, and I'm like, okay, great, we need to do an Instagram story, we need to do this, you need a Snapchat filter, and then they're like, whoa, what is that?
Right.
Even though that's been out forever, but they're
Exactly.
just like, whoa, hold on. So you want to find that spot where you like where they're comfortable to like try something new, even though like it's out there, it's proven, that it's going to be popular.
Right.
But that's not their lane; they're not used to it.
That's right. So what is that, right? What is that? Just because I know that people out there watching and stuff, like, what is this skill that we're talking about right here, right? Because I don't think it's taught in schools. Is it awareness? Is it mindfulness of the people that you're working with?
Intuition.
Intuition. Okay. Whatever it is, it needs to be talked about and taught young.
Yes.
Whether it's explained young, because it's like they don't teach it in schools, and it's something that I believe can get you fired.
Yeah.
Or can progress you along, is having that intuition, that sensitivity to, I'm pushing a little too hard here, and then not personalizing if the network goes, no, I don't understand what this is.
Right.
Not taking a personal goal and just being like, okay, I pushed it a little too hard, I got to dial it back. Whatever that is needs to be taught.
Yes, and that's definitely something to definitely keep in mind in your creativity when you're working with other clients. So once you're making your own art, go make your own art. Get crazy. Like that's where you should push the envelope all the way to the edge and find out what you're made of. But when you're working with clients, you have to be mindful of where they are and find a way. It's compromise. It's just like any relationship.
Right.
I think it's so important to keep the clients completely happy. I mean, I don't care if if they say they want it to be blue and we think it's green, we will make sure they're happy. I think that's so important too. Just like being able to kind of, like, we're talking about also one thing I kind of want to add was like some of that intuition also comes from building up a craft over, I mean, Russell's been producing music over 20 years, so like that intuition is kind of like a gut instinct, but over so much time and building up that craft. Dave being a producer for so many years, know.
Yeah, so then as a producer, do you find that you're the one that has to come back to the artists and say like, okay, we're pushed too far? Like, do you find yourself as the liaison?
Sometimes I can translate, what somebody wants. Like, I feel a lot of times when someone says, oh, I want this reference, and they'll pick like a Katy Perry song. What the producer doesn't realize is that they're listening to the vocals also. So it's almost like the composer has to create something with that same energy that has the vocals in there as well, you know, even though it's an instrumental.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all collaborative, like on all levels, whether you're just making the music or you're making the video, you're putting the music in the video, like it's all collaborative and you have to work together. And then when you're working with clients, you keep the client happy.
Yes.
Keep the client, and then like I love what you said about not personalizing it, because it's easy as an artist to be like, oh my gosh, they hate my work, and it's not that.
Right.
It just wasn't the right fit for what their vision is, because you're plugging into someone else's vision.
Right. We did a show for Bravo where the production company wanted a certain sound, and we created 150 original tracks for it. And then it got up to a higher level to a Bravo exec, and they said, oh, we don't like this sound. You know what? We just put those tracks back in the library, and we made the sound that they wanted.
Right, and it could fit for something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not like it's not wasted art or wasted time.
Right.
It's just
Exactly.
like you have like that whole library in your head where you're using that. You're like, actually, you know what would be great? This thing I have on the shelf.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Already ready. So that's great. Awesome. So do you guys have any other advice for creators? Like everything that we've been talking about is really great, but somebody who's wanting to get started just in entertainment in general. They're like, want to move to LA. They don't know where to start. They just know they want to work in entertainment. What kind of advice do you have as music and film TV producers?
I would say, find somebody that works in that business and try to get a job at the lowest level. And if you want to do music, look at the credits and see who's composing music.
Look at the credits,
and then reach out to them. There's a million different production companies. Just if you pick up the phone enough times or you ask enough people, don't be afraid to knock down doors, and you will get an opportunity. And when you get that opportunity, make sure it sticks, because they say there are no good production assistants. Because once you get that job, and if you're good, they'll move you up.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I want to add to that too. It's great to be nice to everyone, because that PA, that production assistant, is going to be a showrunner in a few years. I mean, everyone, like the receptionist, anyone. It's just make friends with people.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah,
think.
just be a good person. Don't be a jerk.
Don't be a jerk, definitely.
Right.
Also, just it's okay. You're going to fail. It's okay to failure. Allow yourself, that reality that you're going to try things that are not going to stick and not land. I would start with that. Hey, there's going to be some times where I'm going to be feeling like, what am I doing? And that's okay, you know, especially if you're in your 20s. You know, don't get me started on that. But anyway, I'm not in my 20s anymore. Anyway, so I just think like David, just start. That's the thing. There's so much magic in starting. Just start. Don't overthink it. Don't sit there and think, oh, you know, I got to have all this figured out. It's not like we sat down, and I don't want to speak for them, but we sat down and said, oh, we're going to start Signature Tracks, and had a clear-cut vision of this is exactly how our brand is going to look. The brand materializes. It manifests, you know, with the movement and with the starting. So start, be humble, reach out, stay proactive, you know, find a best friend, move them out with you. Don't live in North Hollywood. I'm kidding. That's fun. Live in North Hollywood, whatever. Work out.
I think it's a long-term game, you know, like Tony Robbins has a quote, people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. And I think it's really true. And, you know, if you're in it for a long time, I feel like kids nowadays have an exit strategy before they have an enter strategy.
Right.
You know,
Stick with it.
I want to have a
Mic
production company.
Yes.
I want to have a production company. I'm going to sell it for $40 million. Well, okay.
Yeah.
You know, how about just starting off as a production assistant and doing the best job that you can?
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Anything else from you?
I agree.
You agree. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Adam, will you give us some exit music?
Yes, I would.
Awesome. And then so
Yeah.
while that's playing, each of you, please tell us where they can find you guys. Doesn't have to be your personal ones. You got Sig Tracks on Twitter.
Yeah, and Signature Tracks on Instagram, and Signature Tracks on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. And then do
Yeah.
you guys offer any tracks for new creators to use, or like any resources for new creators, artists out there? Like, can they purchase from you, like a low-level indie filmmaker? Can they reach out to you
Yes,
and
definitely.
purchase some
They
stuff?
can reach out. We work within all types
Yeah.
of budgets.
Great.
We are very easy to work with.
Awesome. So signaturetracks.com. Make sure you check them out. Thank you, Russell, David, and Adam. And I am Mary Lou Mandel, your host for On the Fly Filmmaking. You can find me all over the internet at Mary Lou Mandel, and we will see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.